of the Atlantic hurricane season, and the first named storm is moving towards Galveston, Texas. Galveston and the greater Houston area should brace for a whole lot of rain and the threat of severe flooding. We'll have a live report.
Meanwhile, we have tornado watches and even a few warnings out for portions of the Texas Panhandle all the way up into Kansas. Plus, we have severe thunderstorm watches in effect from the Mid-Atlantic to the Central Plains. Coming up, I'll tell you how long the severe weather will last. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Jennifer Lopez along with Paul Goodlow.
Thanks for joining us this evening, and your Wednesday forecast is on the way. Plus, we'll have a lot more on that severe weather coverage to talk about. But right now, our top story continues to be Tropical Storm Allison. Again, the Houston, Galveston area can expect to see severe flooding from this system. Let's begin with the latest information on this storm and how it's affecting you. Again, Galveston and Harris counties are under a flash flood warning until 10:30 Central Daylight Time. Voluntary evacuations have been issued on Galveston Island. Stretches of Interstate 45 are reported closed at this hour because of flooding. And just outside of Austin, Texas, in the town of Coward Creek, 10.59 inches of rain has been recorded. And again, let's take a look at the current situation on this area. And again, Tropical Storm Allison, here are the latest coordinates for you as of 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Again, it is currently about 60 miles south-southwest of Galveston, Texas. Sustained winds reported at 60 miles per hour and is not moving very much, nearly stationary. And in fact, we do have tropical storm advisories up, and they stretch from Sargent, Texas, through the Galveston Bay area, along the coast to Morgan City, Louisiana. And if you can take a look at the radar, we are seeing a lot of rain. And for more on Tropical Storm Allison, let's go to our hurricane expert who's been tracking this storm since it evolved this afternoon, Dr. Steve Lyons.
Thanks, Paul, and we continue to monitor a cluster of heavy rain that's been impacting the greater Houston area over the last 6 hours. Some areas experiencing rainfall approaching 1 foot. It's producing widespread flooding. There's now a flash flood warning up for northern Brazoria County and southeast Texas as well. Let's look at the visible satellite imagery here, the infrared satellite imagery. The circulation center appears to be coming onshore very close to extreme western Galveston Island right now. But that's not the area to be concerned about. It's this big cloud clusters that's been parked over the South Texas area near Houston over the last 6 or 7 hours. Is producing copious amounts of rainfall and massive flooding. You can see that over the Houston area, especially the western portion of Houston right now, we're seeing some heavy rain coming down, and also well off to the east as well. But let's zoom in on the greater Houston area right now. You can see very heavy rain near the 610 loop and I-10 on the east side of town, but there's also some very heavy flooding occurring down there, Pearland, along I-45. Also, areas associated with heavy flooding include portions of northern Brazoria County, Brookside Village, Pearland, areas north of Highway 6. We've had very heavy rainfall associated with this area in Coward Creek at Baker Road, almost 11 inches of rain. The Houston Hobby Airport now approaching 7 inches of rainfall in some areas. So this whole area, very perilous, heavy rain coming down. A lot of the underpasses, bayous, creeks, and feeder roads are flooded, so try to stay out of your car driving tonight in the area. It's primarily a rain situation with widespread flooding over the greater Houston area. The wind areas are really calming down quite a bit as the circulation appears to be approaching landfall, but more heavy rain is developing in the area and will be persisting over the next 12 hours in this area. Let's get back to Paul in the studio now.
Thanks to Dr. Steve Lyons, our hurricane expert. And also, as he said, Houston's getting pounded with heavy rain. For a live look at the Houston area, let's go live to our own Mike Seidel, who is standing by live in the Galleria area. Mike, what have you seen so far this evening?
Hi, Paul. Well, we got into the airport about an hour ago on the north side of town at Bush Intercontinental, and the drive over here was certainly not very good. Most people had their emergency flashers on, doing about 40 miles an hour, driving, torrential rain, a lot of lightning. I was kind of surprised about the number of lightning flashes. In fact, we've had some here on the west side of town, as you mentioned, in the Galleria, and a lot of flooding. We saw one intersection where a local police authority car had driven into the water, was flooded out, and he was hiking out to safety. Just a primary example of when you come to a street in a situation like this, you need to turn around and go the other way. Many of the feeder roads on the Katy Freeway, the I-10 freeway, 610, which is the loop around Houston are underwater. We encountered a few of those where we had to get over to the left lane or the right lane, depending on the elevation, to be safe. And out here, just on some of these side streets, and granted, it hasn't rained as hard on this side of town so far, and it's not raining that hard right now, but there is a lot of standing water across all these intersections. So watch that, is certainly not only this evening, but tomorrow morning for rush hour. Once again, it's the south and east side of town. It seems to be hit the hardest. Subdivisions underwater. Fortunately, most of the interstates, like the one we were on, 610 and 59 out of the Intercontinental Airport, Bush Intercontinental, they are elevated. So the only concern there is the standing water and the water running down the interstates. But once you get off the main thoroughfares, there's a lot of problems, a lot of flooding as the rain continues here in Houston. And we'll keep you updated. Again, the real impact from Allison will be the flooding here in the interior low-lying areas. Paul?
Thanks. It's Mike Snow reporting live tonight from the Houston area. And again, Houston, much of southeastern Texas, much of southern, actually all of southern Louisiana, flash flood watches, because we will still see plenty of rain not only tonight but into tomorrow as well.